do now, we'll see how we do on time. This is similar. Oh, let me get this up. This is a module that we're only using for this particular training for you as program managers, because it's just sort of giving a little bit more insight in terms of what the changes to the LIP template, and or for that matter SSMP template for the South County. So a reminder, most of you have presumably updated your LIPs along the way. You've been updating sections other than the new development section. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's available to you now, how to use this document, and what the template sections kind of look like. Okay. It mirrors, as you know, you've lived this for a long time, mirrors DAMP Section 7 in some ways. And it fulfills the requirements that are described in DAMP section. So you're basically taking the requirements of the DAMP in Section 7, New Redevelopment, putting it into program language that is your local program that you are following at your permittee level. That's what really the LIPs are all about. So there are some embedded instructions. The previous version had a whole lot of embedded instructions. We kind of took some of those out, put some of those more into the document itself to create an updated LIP Section 7 that each permittee uses. And of course, there's black text, that's the actual language. That would be used in the final LIP Section A7. And then there's colored language. I showed you the example before where we've tried to make it a dual purpose document so that you can edit it and take in and out and put in what's appropriate if you're in Santa Ana Permit Region or if you're in the San Diego region, and if you're in both, then you probably have to keep both language in there and line it up, but it should be pretty easy to do that. So this is the example I showed before. You can see how it works. You can select the language that's appropriate for your permit. In other areas, the red generally is text in which you have to put your individual localized information in that's not sort of standard, like your local organization, your local contacts, and so forth. There is, did I have a date on this? Someone last training, I know South Orange County, said that you have something by the end of July you're supposed to submit DAMP updates or something. Does that sound familiar to anybody from South Orange County? Okay, there was something that I heard. We will get these out before the end of July.
Maybe right now we have the middle date of our annual report.
Yes.
September 30th. We may change.
Okay.
If we were to submit a LIP update for Section 7, we probably need to do that at the same time as we submit our annual report.
Right. Right. Okay. Now, North Orange County, and looking back and trying to tease out the permit language, because if you recall the permit language, there was a permit amendment adopted last October by the Santa Ana Board that extended the time to get the Model WQMP finalized and in place to May. Buried in that was the LIP was supposed to, LIP Section 7 was supposed to have been updated originally a year ago, in line with when the Model WQMP was originally going to be finished. It was extended, but I think it was 90 days afterwards, which would put it middle of August. So that's what it appears that Santa Ana permittees, maybe some of you started looking at this already. It's not that difficult to do, but you may need to be able to show that you have incorporated the updated LIP Section 7 language in your local plans. The final isn't, but it'll be out this next week. Yep. Well, okay, so in fact, this is what I was just telling you. This is what your permit, this was some of the amended language. presumably this is 90 days after approval of the guidance document, which happened in May. May 19th, I think, was the official date in which executive officer sent the line. Unless something blows up and the dates change because of the challenge, but right now, we're pressing forward. So a little bit of caution. So what are the sections? You've had this before. We haven't changed the overall order of the sections or the headings. It's still the same basic structure in LIP Section 7. So as you know, Section 1, it's sort of the overall framework. It's the introduction. There's not a lot of significant changes there, except the new permit dates have been updated and a few things that are temporal have been tweaked, but there are really no significant changes there. The organizational structure, Section 2, is also pretty similar. You should update it. You should make sure you're keeping it up with your current contacts, with the current, and each one of you will have a little different organization structure. You probably have that in already in terms of where your NPDES program resides at your city. So the responsible departments, the overall process of compliance, and other significant organizational changes. So that, by and large, it's not much different, but there are some things that are time sensitive that you need to just review, make sure it's current with your organization. So there's an organization chart. If you have something like this in there, you have your contacts, that you need to check that and make sure it's current. Section 3 covers general plan assessment and amendment. The template aligns with what was in both the Santa Ana and San Diego board permits now. It's not like there's a radical change, and in fact, in the Santa Ana permit, it said you should have already gone through a process of looking at your general plans and decided whether you needed to do or get in line to do any changes or adoptions based on the new permits. Presumably you all looked at that last year, but the LIMP template outlines the questions and the guidelines for reviewing a general plan, and it essentially aligns with the current permit language of the two permits. It does say that you should be looking at your LIP and looking at your general plan to make sure that it's consistent. And recognize the general plans don't change overnight. Those are major long-term changes, but those elements of the general plan that should be consistent with the current permits, and there is text in there that you need. But you need to make sure that you can, in fact, say that you've done that. The CEQA environmental review process, Santa Ana permittees are required to review CEQA documentation process, and the LIP template has been updated a little bit to match both what was in the 2009 permit, and of course there were January 2010 CEQA guidelines where they added a couple of things that were in the general CEQA guidelines on statewide. I'm blanking out right now. Anyway, the checklist is very similar, but it's consistent with the 2010 CEQA guidelines. You do need to make sure that you've got your guidelines updated. Presumably, you have got these things covered. Other documents potentially needed to be revised. And there are examples where we slightly tweaked and updated things like the project application form, the initial study checklist, not major changes, either aligned with something that might have been slightly different in the 2009 permits or with the 2010 CEQA checklist. The guidance for preparing and reviewing CEQA initial studies, environmental impact reports. So there's new material. Most of it has not changed a lot, but you need to make sure your LIPs are updated to incorporate the new. Yeah, Joe.
Charlie D was going to spearhead an effort to redo a sample CEQA checklist for the initial study checklist and the project application form. Whatever happened with that?
I'm sorry, who was?
Charlie D was going to do that and do that for the planning advisory group.
It's a good question. I don't No, let's follow up with Charlie, and we've done a little bit of updating it, but not radically, and I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can go down the hall and ask them. Okay, where there's a little more change in the LIP template, but should not be surprising, is that the language in which you go through and commit to the process of overview of current permits and updated model WQMP, it's now aligned with the new permits. Much of the same things that we've been talking about already, in terms of how you as a permittee will process WQMPs and will and so forth. It's bringing in line with what's in the model WQMP, what's in the technical guidance document. It's mostly the model WQMP, so it's been updated, and expanded section on how you process public agency projects and those that can take a different path. And I do want to spend a little time getting. Holy cow. Going past. Minor updates to conditions of approval. Reflect current permits and updated water quality. Revised approval to reflect current permits. So really, there shouldn't be any surprises in here, but it is if you use this template, it'll help you be in line with where the permits have gotten to. Also, with the project review, again, not a lot of changes. It reflects the non-priority project plan language. Minor updates to the check permitting process, and of course, major revisions to reflect what's in the model WQMP. There is a section in there that is sort of a Brea version of model WQMP, and that is in line with the new WQMP.